On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, Holes in Holes hate. Do 70 million voters think 2020 was stolen? The biggest losers in this election. And Kamala Harris, hot or not? Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 192 of the John 1911 podcast. How's everybody doing so far this morning? I'm not.
How come I always have to be last?
Because I practiced it. I was wondering if you would notice that. I practiced it different ways, and
I am kind of one of the founding members here. I mean, do I have to be last?
Freeze, you can have my billing.
I was trying to. Oh my God, this is like one of those like Broadway things. Like that bitch has top billing over me.
Hey, have you ever seen the movie The Birdcage?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that movie. I like that movie actually quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. What's the guy? What's his name? I think his last name's Lang. The actor that played Robin Williams' domestic spouse.
His wife.
I can't remember his real name.
Nathan Lang.
Nathan Lang. I kind of feel like Nathan Lang here. And, no, let me tell you something. Speaking of The Birdcage, just getting off on a little tangent here, the best scene of that whole movie is when when Robin Williams tells Nathan Lang to, try to walk, like John Wayne. And he sashays across, and he's like, too much? And Robin Williams is like, no, actually, that's perfect. I just never realized John Wayne walked that way. And I mean, look, if anyone listening has not seen The Birdcage, you should make a point to watch it. The movie's awesome. It's got an all-star cast of characters. It's just an awesome movie.
Oh God, everybody's in that movie.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, who's the guy who the huge actor? He was like Colonel ICL Hamilton in Bat 21, and he's been in.
Oh yeah, Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman
in that movie. I mean, there's like it's major actors.
Yeah, dude, there's major actors in the movie. It's a great movie. It's a funny movie.
There's the little actress girl. I think she's. If I'm not mistaken, Ally McBeal. Didn't she marry Harrison Ford? She's in it.
I don't know who she married.
But she's the daughter, right? Isn't she?
Yeah. She's not the daughter. She's the bride.
The bride, yes.
Yeah.
The bride.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was some nice humor this morning because,
I just never knew John Wayne walked that way because he sashayed across the restaurant, and look, it's fun and it's humorous, and right now we need some humor in our lives.
We definitely need some humor. So
basically, I don't want to be Nathan Lang for the rest of my
life. So for the title of this episode will be "Freeze is a needy bitch." So,
yeah, there you go. No, look, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm just like joking around. I don't really give a shit. I mean, Danny, Marky, and Freeze is fine with me. Fuck you guys both. But,
What a whiny bitch.
God, yeah, I know. Hey, you know what? It's been that kind. And look, I'm PMSing today.
Well, go get some Midol. Jesus.
So,
you're bad today.
I have a proposition for you guys. So before we get into the politics, which, we've had some people reach out going, hey, where's the podcast? And it's like, well, number one, we've been busy. But number two, it's like there's no reason giving hot takes on stuff when stuff is constantly changing. I mean, we don't need to guess any more than anybody else's guess. So what I propose this morning is, I'm watching the audio, and I hope it's not blowing people out. I may have to adjust it later in post. What I propose is we cover some basic gun stuff early in the podcast. and then we'll go into the politics and wrap it up at the end. So
Sounds good to me. Yeah,
Sounds very good to me.
So I want to tell a story. I posted something on John 1911 and subsequent Facebook and whatever, and it was a holes in holes drill, and it went okay on Instagram, and it's fine on the website, but on Facebook, it has turned into a dumpster fire, and I guess there's all these people out there that think my 5 shots trying to get the holes in holes drill is what you're trying to do is you put a bullet hole through a target, and then you try to put the next. For me, it's a 5-shot drill. I shoot at 3 yards. You put a bullet hole through the target, and then you try to send the next 4 bullets through that exact same hole. You're not shooting a group. You're not trying to get them to touch. You're trying to literally, after you shoot 5 bullets, you're supposed to have one exact perfect hole in the exact caliber of the whatever you're chambered in. And it's easier to do with a 45 than it is with a 9mm. It's what's perceived to be easier because the larger holes gives your eye more leeway on doing the holes in holes drill. So I shot a holes in holes with the Experior 1911.
Yeah.
And I posted it, and I was real impressed with it. And these guys rolled in to this post like frickin' gun forum idiots.
Okay, so let me explain why they all think. Let me explain why this was a dumpster fire post. Okay, so all these guys who have never shot a hole-in-hole drill at 3 yards, 15 feet, they all sit there and think, well, I can cut one hole at 100 yards, with my rifle bench rest. And you know what? Yeah, so can you, so can I, so can Danny, so can everyone who shoots relatively decent firearms. But when you're offhand, okay, so it was how many yards? How far away were you shooting this group?
3 yards. So it's
okay, 3 yards. So 9 feet. Okay, so take a handgun at 9 feet and try to cut one hole. Everyone on the internet who's flaming on this thinks it's so damn easy. Dude, it's not. It's not as easy as you think. These guys who are criticizing it have never fucking done it. And all I'm saying is go out and do it. You can do it, maybe you can't do it in your backyard. It depends on where you live. I can do it in my backyard, because I can shoot in my backyard.
Yeah.
You're 3 feet from your target. Pick the biggest tree in your yard.
You're 9 feet. But you can start at 3. You can work your way back.
Okay, whatever. 3 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet. The drill is the drill. Okay? And the farther back you are, the harder it gets.
I guess it needs to be said, you have a good point. It needs to be said that when I first started doing this about 15 years ago, we started it at about 3 feet.
Yeah,
and then you do it, then you get back up farther. And I'm at about a 9 foot 3 yard where it's like it's pretty challenging. And the point of this drill, and you're right. So what happens is there's an internet problem here, and the internet problem is especially with 1911 guys, because let's just be real. A lot of 1911 guys buy the guns, but they don't really achieve a level of skill with the guns. It's kind of it's the fatal weakness of the 1911 community in the United States. And what they do is they buy these guns, and they'll buy them from insert your favorite company. Like I don't want to name anybody because I don't want to omit anybody, and they invariably you'll have somebody will come at you and be like, this gun shoots a 1 inch, a 1.25 inch, a 1.5 inch, a 2 inch guarantee hole group at 25 or 50 yards or something.
Yeah.
And so what happens is these 1911 guys, they run around with these guns and they magically just kind of, I don't know, absorb the ability that they can shoot a 1-inch group at 25 yards with their guns, and they cannot.
Well, you know what? No, hold on a second. Let's just say the internet community is right, and they can shoot a 1-inch group at 25 yards. Let's just, hypothetically, let's just say that is factually correct. And
there
they
are some
can do
people
that.
who can, but that's pretty rare,
Yeah.
especially standing.
Okay. But you know what? We're going to give everyone a fucking break and say they can shoot the 1-inch group at 25 yards. Stand at 3 feet and shoot 5 rounds through one hole. That's a big ass difference.
Well, I did it at 9 feet, and there's a big difference between 3 feet and 9 feet.
but you know what? There is. The farther back you get, the harder it is. But I'm giving everyone a break here. Mm-hmm. If you can shoot consistently a 1-inch group at 25 yards, then go at 3 feet and try to cut one hole. Not 1.5 holes, not 2 holes that are connecting one
not a
hole.
clover leaf. Not a
clover leaf. We're talking one hole. Now, I know a guy who I've known for 40 years, shoots unlimited rifle, and he can shoot a 1-hole group at 100 yards, and it's 1 hole in the fucking target. And that's impressive, but it's an unlimited rifle group, and that's all crazy bullshit. But what I'm saying is, when you take a 1911 or a 9mm or whatever you're shooting with, at 3 feet, 6 feet, 9 feet, whatever you are, and you shoot 5 shots and put it through one hole. We're talking one hole, not 1.25 holes, not 1.5 holes, not a clover leaf, one fucking hole. Now, everyone on the internet's like, oh, yeah, that's all bullshit, blah, blah. But you know what? They've never actually tried to do it. Mm-hmm. And if all the people that are shitting on the post actually went out into their backyard and stood 3 feet away from a target and tried it, they would change their opinion of it immediately, because the drill sounds easy, but it's extremely difficult.
And I have a couple things to add to it. So the first one is you can shoot this drill at 9 feet or if you 3 feet and work your way back.
Yeah.
And the reason why it works at such short ranges and why you don't have to try to do this at 100 yards or 25 yards or 50 yards is this drill works on 3 things. Okay, obviously trigger control. Okay, it works on calling your shot in sight alignment. So, and what I mean by that is it's not like, oh, okay, the shot, hey, I'm on target, I can shoot it. It's an understanding between breaking the shot and knowing, without even looking at the target, whether it was a good shot or a bad shot. That's calling your shot. And then you also have to figure out your offset, okay? Depending on what you're shooting, what kind of sights or red dots. And so you have to figure out, you have to hold that target, hold that on that hole. So here's the thing. And the real trick is the first shot. Because the first shot, you have to see where it broke. Okay? Yeah. Gun recoil, sights move, and you have to be able to pick out on the target where your front sight, or where your sight package was when that shot broke to make that hole. Because now you can't shoot at that hole. You have to shoot at that imaginary point where that sight picture broke, and you have to repeat that second sight picture. And if that second sight picture is happening with no target references, no little symbols that say hold here, you have to understand what's happening with your gun and your sights even at these ranges. And here's the thing. This is such an excellent drill. It takes 5 shots. You can do it in 3 shots. Everybody's complaining about the price of ammo. Okay? Nobody even thought about this being useful right now. A bunch of people shit on it. And it works on fundamentals with your gun. It also has application in the real world. If you can or can't do this, I would not suggest you ever think that you can take a hostage rescue shot at 9 feet with little Susie. Her life is depending on Daddy to save her. And, like we had a guy roll in on the post on Facebook. And this is how much of a dumpster fire this is. This guy rolled in with a post, and it was a picture of a target, like a humanoid target, and he said it was at 15 yards. And he had, I don't know, like there could have been 25 rounds through this head, and it was like all over the head, and there was stuff to the left and stuff in the body. And his comment was, he said, I can make my bullet holes touch at 15 yards. This is not a sign of a quality gun. I should just sell my Glock and get a Sky gun or whatever he said. And it was just like, what? I mean, what the flying fuck? It almost was willful ignorance. And that's why I don't like, and I'm going to make this point. Everybody today is harping with politics and Facebook and censorship and the election and the media and big tech are trying to drive a narrative, okay? And they're all like, go to Parler. Or they're all like, go to whatever. And it's like, fuck you in Parler. Because here's my point. I don't want you assholes on Facebook. I'm not trying to be a dick. But it's like the only reason I post on Facebook, why I even manage all this nonsense, or we post on Instagram, is I'm hoping to get 0.5% of you to leave Facebook and maybe visit our website. Yes. And look at all the content we publish on the website, because there's more than one picture. There's commentary. You can ask questions. I do everything I can to encourage people to go to the website. And so it's like, and for two reasons. One, it's like, okay, 1 billion people on Facebook is a giant turd bowl. Okay? 1 billion people, if 1 billion people were on John 1911, it would be a giant turd bowl. Or 60 million people. I would have to shut the comment section off. I don't want all of you. And I know that sounds like a dick move to say, but it's the truth. My goal is not, I don't need a bunch of guys rolling into John 1911 who willfully choose to just see what they want to see and then they want to shit post. I don't want those people on John 1911. I want people, when you leave a comment on John 1911, and I see your comment, even if you've never posted before, and I see every comment on John 1911, and I respond to every comment. If you leave a comment on John 1911, I am so flattered. I'm like, oh, wow, we're friends. I want my friends on our website. I don't need these random-ass people from Facebook, and I don't need these random-ass people from Parler, and I don't need these random-ass people from some fake-ass YouTube alternative. It's like, we're just using you. We're fishing. It's just throwing a line to pull fish out of the water to get them into our frying pan on our website. And this shit posting of this group was a perfect illustration of why, we don't need all that traffic.
Yeah, but okay, so here's the thing. The same post you posted on Facebook and it turned into a shit show, if you go to john1911.com, which is where the real meat is, guess what? John1911.com post was not a shit show, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and that's it. There you go. Because the real people that are interested in the shit that we spew, okay, maybe I shouldn't have put it that way.
Oh, that's apropos.
Yeah, but the real people that are interested in what we say go to john1911.com and then they don't shit on us. Now, look, just because you go to john1911.com don't mean you can't disagree with what we post. And if you do, we will address it politely, and we'll take the commentary from there. And you know what? You may convince us that we are wrong.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens. Look, we're all fucking wrong. Well, okay, I'm not wrong very often, but we're all wrong occasionally.
Freeze, did you see the guy leave the comment about the Kimber? You probably didn't because you've been working this week.
No, I've been working. I just really haven't. But
so here's a particular post that happened, and I thought for certain this guy was going to get banned, but he didn't violate the rules, so he didn't get banned.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yet, but it's the day is still young.
Well, yeah, that he could still be, but that's cool
so,
that he has.
Here's a for example. So I posted this group of this gun talking about how happy I am with this traditional Wilson Experior 1911. I mean, I'm so tickled to death with this gun because I did not think this gun was going to run for dick, and I'm not trying to be mean about it. And but I even told Wilson, I'm like, yeah, this isn't really the kind of gun I'm interested in. I want one of your upgraded guns that unlocks differently, that runs. It's more like a modern gun, not one of these old 1911s because they used to be dumpster fires. Okay. This thing runs so great, and I was singing the praises of this gun. This guy rolls in. This has nothing to do with the post. It has nothing to do with anything I said. He rolls in and he goes, "You've obviously never shot a Kimber gold match."
Oh, wow. He is so fucking wrong there.
Okay, hold on. And here's the thing. I let it sit. I'm like, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So I let it go because it's like, okay, we're not talking about your Kimber gold match. I didn't say this gun is better than every Kimber. I didn't say this gun was better than what I'm just saying. I'm super happy with this gun, and this is what I'm seeing. This individual gun. But now he's got to come in and he's got to talk about his gun, which is totally fine. That's totally fine. But he's already half-cocked. You obviously have never shot a Kimber gold match. And so I was like, okay. So I'm gonna set this up for you, Freeze, and you can knock it right out of the park. I said, actually, I've shot a Kimber gold match enough that I broke it. And I just let that hang just to see what would happen. Because this guy's obviously fishing to get banned. He wants to pick but he didn't. So far he hasn't. I was like, okay. And then he comes back and he goes, but I have to give him credit. So instead of attacking me, he goes, I don't believe you.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, but you know what, though? But hold on. That's a fair statement.
That is a fair statement.
Yeah.
That is a fair statement. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, well, here's the deal. And I said, I don't know. I bought a Kimber gold match sometime in the late 90s, like when they were like the early ones, and they were really good. I can't remember exactly when it was. And we shot it so much that we actually wore out the grip safety.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm trying to remember who was the gunsmith who replaced the grip safety in the Kimber gold match Kimber. Do you remember who that gunsmith was, Freeze?
Me. Yeah, me. I was the gunsmith that replaced the safety. Actually, I replaced the trigger too, but that's another story.
Do you remember the packaging for the Kimber gold or for the Kimber grip safety? Do you remember it? Do you remember your comments when you saw it? This was
no, I mean honestly, God, this is going back well over 10 years ago. No, I don't remember my comment.
Dude, it's probably longer than that. But
yeah, maybe. But I mean,
it's probably longer than that. So we contacted Kimber and we're like, hey, we need a grip safety. Because you were looking at the leg on the grip safety for this Kimber gold match.
Yes.
And you're like, what the fuck? Why is this so short? And you're looking at it and you're like, dude, you wore down this leg. Like there's a leg. So literally it's like the only way you have to replace the grip safety or try to weld up on a MIM part.
No, you can't weld up on a MIM part.
And then you're like, I've never seen anyone wear out a grip safety. You're like, I've got a Colt sitting here that's 100 years old, or 85, 87 years old. It's got the original grip safety in it. So we contact Kimber and they send over a grip safety.
Yeah.
And I will never forget this. It comes in and you're like, hey dude, come over here, and you're looking at the packaging. And the grip safety came in a fully enveloped plastic display.
Oh, yeah, it was a clamshell package that you would find on the rack at any gun store.
with a big Kimber insert in the top of the clamshell, and you're like, I remember you looking at this, and you're like, how many grip safeties is Kimber having to replace that they have to package their shit like this?
Yes, I do recall that now that you bring it up. Yes, I do, because it was like if you walk into a gun store, or you know what, you walk into a Cabela's or a Bass Pro, and you go, well, you know what, I need I don't know, let's say a butt pad for my 870 shotgun. You walk over to the aisle, and there's a blister pack. People that don't know what a blister pack is, it's a pre-molded plastic package that the product's in, and it hangs on a peg hook. And this is exactly what they sent us. It was a clamshell or a blister pack, pre-molded packaging with a grip safety in it, and I was amazed because it was like, wow, I expected this to come like in a Ziploc little sealed plastic bag, or or bubble wrapped or whatever, but it was just like, wow, this is actually a product that they sell to stores as a replacement part product for Kimber. And that shocked me.
Because nobody out there, especially even years ago, was like, man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait till I get my my Springfield or my Colt, and I'm going to upgrade it with parts, and I'm going to go get me some Kimber grip safeties. It was so odd, the way that was packaged. And it was almost a foreshadowing of what was to come from Kimber.
Yeah.
With all of the problems that they have.
Now, look, and let me interject here. Kimber sells a lot of goddamn guns a year, and there's nothing wrong with the Kimber gun. If you got a Kimber 1911, or a Kimber rifle, or a Kimber revolver for that matter, Kimber makes a damn fine firearm. I'm not shitting on Kimber. However, Kimber is not Kimber is not Jesus's foreskin of firearms. You know, Kimber has their problems, but they're a damn good firearm, and they sell a lot of them over the years. But look, if you're going to sit there and base everything about your firearm knowledge on how awesome your Kimber is, you're way off the fucking mark.
It was an interesting exchange, and again,
actually, let me interject here. Speaking of the same Kimber Gold match that I had to replace the grip safety on, Danny, you'll get a kick out of this. So you have to remember, this is going back many years, and Marky was not really the
Grand Poobah?
No, he wasn't the Tim the Tool Belt Taylor that he is now. I'm not going to quite go Bob Vila with him, but we'll say.
For many years, I never worked. I had a policy, and I still have it for complicated stuff. I do not work on my own guns.
Exactly. So he comes up, and he's like, I have a trigger. It's a trigger that I bought for this gold match that I have to put in this gun. I don't remember the reason why you had to put it in there off the top of my head, but you needed this trigger, and you tried to put it in, and it just wouldn't fit because it was a part that needed to be fitted.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a drop-in part. And I'm like, okay. I said, that's fine, bring it over. So this is back when you were working, mm-hmm. and, you worked my schedule. It was the middle of the freaking... I mean, this was like late at night.
Yeah.
Mrs. Freeze was at work because, this was before she was retired. Hell, this was before you were retired, actually.
Oh, this is years way before I was retired.
Yeah. So, anyway, he comes over. We go down in my basement, and I'm sitting on my desk, and I told him, I said, this is the reason why when you take a firearm to a gunsmith, they never let you watch them work on it.
This is true. This is so true.
So he's got a Kimber Gold match that he's sitting here, and he's got a trigger.
And at the time, the Kimber was my baby.
Yes,
Let's just be real.
Yeah,
I mean,
no. That was
the best pistol I owned.
Yeah, oh no, it was. So I disassemble this gun and I pull the trigger out of it. And I take the trigger he had that he bought, the aftermarket trigger, and I think it was a skeletonized trigger or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a specific Kimber looking part, but
yeah,
it's their version of a Decky trigger.
I go to drop it in, and it doesn't fit. So I pull it out, and mind you, I'm working on my desk, and I'm not even working on my workbench. I'm on my desk in the basement.
He's at a computer desk.
Yeah. So I pull out a number 10 bastard file, and I take this brand new trigger he have, and I start rasping it on the file. and he's looking at me like I just killed his firstborn child.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me just interject here. Much like the guy on the Facebook page who's shitting on my post, when you got your baby gun and, you think how things are supposed to work, you're like, you expect, I don't know, like, Freeze is going to come out like an all clean, like he's going to come out like a full body hazmat suit with he's going to have cotton gloves and he's going to have like halogen lights and I don't know like vacuums, and this is all going to be like this big like sanitized surgical procedure, and it literally looks like something like a surgeon at Gettysburg hacking off somebody's leg. I'm just standing there like, holy shit.
So Freeze, you should have brought the torch out. The conniptions that would have followed would have been one for the books.
No, but look, it was a trigger fit, so there was no torch needed. Although we have torch sights off of Marky's guns in the past. But but so anyway, I'm filing away on this. And I'm filing, and I drop it in the frame, okay, we're close, and I get it filed down to the point where all of a sudden the trigger fits. I've got it filed down and the trigger fits in there and it's great. And I'm like, yeah, this is good to go. And Marky, in his own wisdom at the time, I say at the time, looks at the trigger and goes, wow, that's pretty rough. And I looked at him and I'm like, yeah, it is, because I just filed it on a big old bastard file. I said, but hold on a second. I've got a set of India stones set aside, and he's looking at me like, what the hell are India stones?
Oh.
So I take the trigger and I hit him on the India stones, and I take him down by grade, and polish it to where the trigger's polished, and all of a sudden he's like, wow, you can't see any file marks on it. And it's like, well, that's the difference between you and an actual real gunsmith. So I put the damn thing back together, and it's all good. Life is good. The gun runs it's amazing. I do believe the trigger that you dropped into it was an adjustable trigger, Yeah. And I mean, but the point is, he's actually watching me do the work. Now, see, here's the thing. If he would have just swung by, said, here you go, drop this trigger in, I would have fitted the trigger, and he would have picked it up, and he'd have been like, awesome. But he actually got to see the surgeon do the operation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was a I don't know, let's just say it was an awakening moment for him, because again, that's why gunsmiths don't let customers watch them work on their firearms, because sometimes you have to break the mold to make it right, but the thing is, at the end of the day, this thing, this trigger, was perfect. And it actually made the Kimber a better gun. And look, the guy who was swinging back to the original post, the guy that was shitting on the post, look, I understand you like your Kimber, and I don't know if this guy listens to our podcast. Hopefully he does.
I doubt he does. I suspect what's happened is, and this is, look, we had this problem when we were running when I was running H&Ks, and this is going to happen now that I'm running 1911s again, because, look, let's be real. I'm the one that controls what generally goes up on social media. I mean, everybody creates it, but I physically am the one that does this stuff.
Yeah.
And, when we posted H&K stuff, you bring in a whole crowd of the H&K douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's stuff that they're proud to see an H&K being run, but then they also don't like it when you do things that go against whatever they think is
sure,
like their standards.
Yeah.
1911 guys are worse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, they are.
They're they're the worst.
1911. The only people worse than 1911 guys are Curio and Relic Milsurp guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
because it's
seriously.
all about the gotcha game.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what, though? I would like to think the guy that came in with the Kimber post actually will listen to this podcast, and I hope he does.
Maybe he does.
Because if he does, you know what? If you're the guy that made the comment, go ahead and reply and say, "Hey, yeah, I listened to the podcast," because we're not shitting on you, but we're also saying that we're real guys and we do real shit, and your Kimber isn't. Look, not saying your Kimber's crap, but it's not it's not Jesus's foreskin either.
Now, we have gone on record until we crossed into some really high-end guns, because I said this for years. I said my Kimber Gold Match was the most accurate 1911 I had ever owned, up to and including a $7,000 gun from a company that shall not be named.
Yeah,
the Kimber Gold Matches, at least they used to be hell of a guns.
Yeah, no, you had made that comment many times.
But the problem is, if you're a high-volume shooter with the Kimbers, you're going to be pitting a lot more in the race than if a modern gun, because sometimes there's issues. The Kimbers have known issues, especially in the training community, and that has not ever gone away. Hopefully, but we wish Kimber the best. We're going to get off the subject because they're moving to Alabama, I think. And,
good for them. Good for Kimber. Good for Kimber. Yeah, good deal.
Good for them.
Absolutely.
So I was going to mention having to use a metal detector on the John 1911 range yesterday.
Well, basically, the 1911 community is better off today because of Fisher metal detectors.
Yes, we'll
and you know what? If you want to know more about that, visit john1911.com.
Yeah, that won't go up for a little while. So, okay, Danny has been sitting here very quietly.
Yes, he has. He's been good. He's been a good boy.
He's been a good boy, and it's like we've gone for quite a bit now, and we need to talk about the 2020 election. So I guess the first question I need to ask Danny is, Danny, are you going to be moving to Canada or moving out of the United States, because it looks like your guy's going to lose the election?
No. To be honest with you, here's the thing. I have taken the position that it's not over yet. Of course, is there hope against hope? We shall see. I have a couple of theories on this. If you noticed, I don't know if you've noticed the headlines, and I'm not getting into the vote counts, this or that. This is something a little bit more on the other side. Yesterday, the Supreme Court heard the oral arguments for the Obama health care and the mandates and everything. I don't know if you guys followed that at all. Well,
I have followed that for a while, and the sotto voce word on that case for a long time has been, even among Republican circles, is that case sucks. It's very, very weak, and no one thought that the Supreme Court was going to rule against Obamacare on the argument that they were making.
Correct. Versus the tax versus I can't think of the word that you had to have it, this or that. Well, anyway, here's my theory, and of course this is like an asshole. We all have one. You notice Kavanaugh came out against wanting to abolish Obamacare in so many words. My thinking is the reason he did that is, on its face, it's really, as other Republicans have said so, it's really not a good case, number one. Number two, I'm thinking that if Kavanaugh shows that he's going to let the Obamacare stay, if it gets to the election portion all the way down to the Supreme Court, then I think he will act more along the conservative lines. I don't think he wants to be labeled as a one-pitted conservative all the way. I think he's covering his bases on this.
So in fairness to Kavanaugh, I think you might be confusing a few facts here. So what we have heard is the oral arguments that were made on the Obamacare case. I can't remember exactly what was it. The tax issue, but
yes,
well,
the one that Roberts ruled on.
Well, the John Roberts case, when John Roberts wrote the majority opinion for Obamacare, and he also wrote the minority opinion against Obamacare because he kept switching. That opinion is so jacked up because literally on like page 31, he says something like Obamacare is a tax. And then on like page 11, he says Obamacare is not a tax. And
Correct.
There's some question. That was some of the arguments for and against Obamacare. And he contradicts himself in his own majority opinion. And it's such a terrible piece of jurisprudence. And the reason he did it is he did not want the Supreme Court to be get involved in the politics. His position was basically, if y'all don't want the fucking Obamacare, y'all pass another fucking law and get rid of it because we're not going to do this for you.
Correct.
And that's what pissed everybody off. So here's the thing. What you heard was there was another case here recently. I can't remember exactly what the argument even is. But basically the oral arguments and all that happened was Kavanaugh and some other justices were asking questions. And they were asking, tough questions or maybe questions that you could perceive as being not willing to overturn whatever the legal argument that's being made. It doesn't mean they haven't ruled anything. They haven't issued any judgment or written any opinion. People try to look at the questions that some of the justices may choose to ask, and many justices never ask any questions. Like Justice Thomas is notorious for never asking any questions, hardly. And so my point is, I don't think it's fair to hang Obamacare next to an election thing on Judge Kavanaugh. I just don't. I think they're two separate issues.
Well, then again, that's what you're thinking, and they are two separate issues. But I'm sort of thinking that, maybe we'll see. I'll put it that way.
So let me ask you a wins or losses thing on politically with on 2020 so far. If Joe Biden wins and Donald Trump loses, and the argument is, and a lot of people, like if there's 70 million people that voted for Donald Trump, and if let's be generous and say 30 million people either think that the election was stolen, or 30 million people may buy into the narrative that, they tried to take Trump out all through his presidency. They used the intelligence community, all this stuff, for 4 years. And then at the end, it got shady and there's a chance. If this narrative catches on, who are the biggest losers on the conservative side of the aisle if Trump loses 2020? Who would be the biggest Republican or conservative losers? Give me your top two.
Fox News, number one.
You know what? I hadn't considered that. That is a very good point. Who's your second loser?
That's solid.
That's
okay.
Solid. Who's your second loser?
Possibly McConnell with the 2 Georgia runoffs.
Yeah, okay. That's it. You know what? Those are Danny has definitely solidified his place as the chief political correspondent for John 1911.
Yeah.
However, I, as the editor-in-chief of John 1911,
just beeped them out.
am about to give you my contrarian Freakonomics, unforeseen circumstances view.
Okay.
The number one, if this goes the way it looks like it's going to go, and Trump doesn't win, and Biden wins, and let's say even the Republicans lose the Senate too. Okay, the biggest loser probably going into 2021 are going to be conservative justices on the Supreme Court, and I'll give you a reason why in a minute. Then the second biggest loser is going to be a woman, former governor and former Secretary of State, Nikki Haley. And I'll go with Nikki Haley first. The reason why Nikki Haley is going to be the biggest loser is Donald Trump was going to win re-election, and Trumpism was going to become a standard thing. Like, this idea that we can reset some American policies to more reflect the middle of the country. We can deal with China. We can deal with NATO ripping us off. The peace in the Middle East does not have to be because we have to deal with the Palestinians. We can move the embassy to Jerusalem. We can deal with these issues that a lot of these professional, foreign policy people say everything's you can deal with North Korea. I mean, nobody in 3 years has said bubkiss about there even being a remote chance of a nuclear war breaking out in the Korean Peninsula. Not a peep about it. Nothing. And why is that? Because Donald Trump went over there and talked to that man. Now that could change. That's not something set in stone. That's not like saying we're best buddies with North Korea. But you know what? Maybe we're not. Maybe Kim Jong-un, or whatever his name is, isn't waking up every day looking at his radars, trying to figure out if there's a B-2 bomber flying over his house, which is a good thing. So the first person to lose is Nikki Haley. And the reason is, if the narrative is that they stole it from Donald Trump was so successful, and Donald Trump did all of these things, and 70 million people, and even a lot of the foreign service people, and a lot of people on the other side, we can renegotiate NAFTA. If he was successful, but he stole his presidency from him, the next Republican that's going to get the nomination, the next Republican that's going to become president, could be Donald Trump. It's not going to be Nikki Haley. I don't think it will be Donald Trump. I think the political future of the Republican Party is going to be taken over by people that we don't even know who they are yet. Because Nikki Haley, at the end of the day, here's a freeze phrase, is a party person. She's a beltway person. She's in the system. She's like Lindsey Graham. She's like a lot of these Republicans. She's fun. She's all right. She pays lip service. She's not a rhino, but she's not Donald Trump. Well, here's the problem. The people that voted for Donald Trump and think that this was stolen from him and they wrecked Donald Trump's presidency are not going to vote for Nikki Haley in 2024. They're going to vote for somebody that we don't know yet that's going to be a verbal bomb thrower. It's going to make Donald Trump look like this person's going to make Donald Trump look like
a choir boy.
Donald Trump is going to be a known quantity by that point, and this person's going to always be like, we are going to save the legacy of Donald Trump. We are going to continue Donald Trump's presidency. I am going to take up the mantle, whoever this person is. Maybe it's Kristi Noem of South Dakota.
Look, at the end of the day, if Joe Biden wins this election, and he probably will, but if Joe Biden wins this election, 4 years from now, it's the crazy thing is, Joe Biden's not going to run for re-election in 4 years. There's actually an arguable stance that he may not even make it through 4 years of his first presidency.
Well, now wait a minute. You got to actually admit something. I mean, if you're going to say it about Joe Biden, number one, this idea that Kamala Harris is going to run the White House, I don't know if that's true.
Because, no, I don't. I'm not saying that's true.
If I worked in a Biden administration, I'm chief of staff for Joe Biden, or I'm a Secretary of State, or I'm people that Joe Biden has picked. Okay. As long as Joe Biden's in office, I have power. And the people that work around Joe Biden, they have the power. Okay, and Kamala Harris and her people don't have the power, and I don't see until they would literally keep Joe Biden on an airbag and and a heart pump to keep their power before they let Kamala take over. Now let me mention my number 2 loser. Okay. My number 2 loser for the Republican on the conservative side of the argument if all this happens, and I mentioned it was conservative justices on the Supreme Court. And here's why. I believe we are going into a period of prolonged and persistent political violence. We have been in this for a while, but the media covers it up. The guy that attacked the Republican baseball team, the guy who attacked a synagogue in Pittsburgh or somewhere in Pennsylvania, they tried to say that he was somehow Trump's fault. He was a Hillary Clinton supporter. He was a leftist. There's the ANTIFA. Foreign governments that view United States political system right now, if you read their public analysis of the political structure in the United States, they list Antifa and BLM as a militia that's part of the Democratic Party. They're like, it's a militia they're using to do whatever they want to do. Well, I think if the Democrats take over most of the government, I think you're going to see somebody. If I was a Republican justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, a Kavanaugh, because they basically said Kavanaugh's not legitimate. Amy Coney Barrett, they're not as harping on her as much as they used to. I think someone's going to take a shot, and I mean literally, at a U.S. Supreme Court justice on the conservative side, and then they could replace them. And here's the thing: I'm not saying this is a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying like this is Joe Biden or the Democratic Party or even Antifa. Let me get it out. There's crazy people everywhere.
Yeah.
And these crazy people, like the guy who showed up at the Republican baseball team, he drove into Washington and he was living in a van down by the river.
Oh my God.
Nobody saw him coming. And the thing is, when the stuff starts to happen, nobody's going to see it coming because it's going to be it's going to be crazy people, and everybody's so tuned up. Like right now, there's reports coming out of Florida that Governor DeSantis out of Florida is apparently angling to create statutes that makes it codified in the law that says it is legal to shoot looters and rioters.
I saw that report.
I saw that myself.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be we're going into a terrible time here because half the country has been told for 4 years that Donald Trump is literally the devil. And so anything you can do to stop the devil, if they truly believe he's the devil, and if they believe they're right, they are morally justified in anything they do. It's the argument against Hitler. Would you have shot Hitler in 1933? I'm not advocating that, but that's what they think. And that has justified their behavior. Now, on the other side of the argument, we have people on the conservative side of the spectrum that have been told for 4 years that they are racist for anything they do. They are bigots for the decisions they make. They are Nazis for voting for Republicans. And they are attacked and vilified, and they are silenced. And they're going to think that this election was stolen from them. And I don't see how this doesn't start to go sideways for a while.
What do you think there's going to be the rise of the brown shirts or something?
No. See, again, that's the narrative. Everything. See, that's the problem. Everybody has to make this thing up. Okay, this is not a related example, but it's just to prove a point. I'm gonna give 2 examples. I'm gonna talk about Waco and I'm gonna talk about Ruby Ridge, which is really stepping into the bullshit here.
It kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is.
But wait, no. I'm going there. I'm just gonna make this point. I don't want to talk about the facts of Ruby Ridge, and I don't want to talk about the facts of Waco. Okay. But I just want to make this observation that a lot of people, when that was the hot topic, everybody wants to look at Waco and look at Ruby Ridge like it's this big giant, all this shit's connected. And the reality was, it's some asshole living on a fucking mountain out west who cut barrels off of a shotgun. He was badgered, but he did it. And he's interfacing with the federal government, and it's a nightmare what happened. And this asshole down in Texas who's throwing around a Bible and sliding dicks in the little kids because he's Jesus and Jesus gets all the pussy he wants. Random crazy people are still out there. There are still nut jobs that we have not detected on both sides, and they are now fully
emboldened.
When they read all this shit on the internet, if you're a crazy person and you're a leftist and you think the Nazis are taking over, you act like everybody. If some guy with a Trump hat on in front of you at the line of Starbucks, to you, that's Hitler 1933, and you're morally justified to shoot him in the back of the head. If you're on the conservative side and you think the communists are taking over, and you're feeling that like everybody's against you, and this is like AOC, and like on one hand you've got the Democrats saying, hey everybody, let's come together. On the other hand, you've got Democrats saying, we're going to make a list of every anti-Trumper or every pro-Trumper, and they're never going to work in academia again, they're never going to work on boards, they're never going to be allowed in polite society, and we're going to make a list of. And Jennifer Rubin says, we're going to burn them all to the ground so no Trumpers ever come back up. Like, this is not, we are not in an age of political reconciliation. We are in an age, I did not think we could get politically worse than we did in 2016, 2017. I was wrong. We're headed to rough times.
Well, maybe that's maybe that's why the ammunition is so scarce and the price has gone through the ceiling. People are stocking up for the inevitable or stocking up for the unknown.
Stocking up for the unknown.
Well, there's nothing wrong with stocking up for the unknown, but I don't necessarily know if I'm going to say that's the reason for the ammo availability issue right now, because there are other issues with that, but I don't want to get into that right now.
Well, hold on. Let me just, so this is the political part of the podcast, so let me ask a question. It is now November of 2020, and there's a big debate going on right now as to whether, because now suddenly everybody's a constitutional expert. I mean, no one really cared before about how all this worked, but now everything is a drama. It's like, is Joe Biden the president-elect? Is there a transition? How's the transition going? When did the electors to the electoral college meet? When did they vote? When is all this kind of stuff going on? Right? Well, just here's fuel to the fire to the conservatives. Nobody in conservative media has mentioned this yet. So if they get this, they got it from me. They got it from John 911 podcast. The first question is, I wonder if any point now in the next, say, 60 days, if the intelligence community will be spying on Joe Biden before he's sworn in as president. Crossfire hurricane. Are we gonna start bugging the wires in Joe Biden's house? I just wonder. Probably not. Okay. The second question is, January 20th, Joe Biden is sworn in office, and they're going into the White House. Let's say it's the first couple weeks. Do you think the director of the FBI we'll just send over 2 agents over to the White House to interview the national security, the director of national security, advisor for national security, I can't remember the actual title, to Joe Biden, because you know what, they're going to be kind of in a transition period, and we'll be able to just send some guys in chaos and not run it by the White House counsel's office, and you know what, they'll think it's a casual meeting, but in reality, it's an actually on the record meeting. Do you think that'll happen?
No,
it won't.
No.
And
no, absolutely not.
And what you're going to see now going on every day from January 20th until 2024, until January 31st, 2024, is going to be a one-for-one comparison of how the media treats Joe Biden and how big tech treats Joe Biden, and how all these things happened to Joe Biden, and what happened to Donald Trump. And this is going to get worse, because the reality is these arguments actually have purchase. Can you honestly say that a lot of forces in the United States, either inside of government or outside of government, did everything they could to wreck Donald Trump's presidency? The answer, there's nobody that can make that argument otherwise.
Well, not according to McCabe's testimony yesterday.
Nobody cares what McCabe says.
Did you happen to see any of the excerpts from it? They were making me nauseous.
No, I don't. No one cares. I mean, we're so beyond that now. That's what I'm saying. We're in a dangerous period.
That we are.
We're in a very dangerous period. Like, okay, and then here we go. Like, the political violence that I think that we've been denying for a while. Will suddenly, when it starts happening, will now be front page news. As soon as there is some kind of attack or hit or something, left or right, it'll now be used to advance gun control.
Well, it's ironic you say that, because I was reading an article yesterday where some states' election officials have doubled security or are in hiding due to threats.
Well, everybody's the word on the street is, among my retired law enforcement friends, that if you want to get a job in private security and make extra bank, and also while collecting your PD retirement, baby, it's on, because everybody's hiring private security now. You're even seeing things where there are areas where major metropolitan cities are so busy that they cannot provide extra security for certain regions. Like, let's say you have a neighborhood that is, gentrified, and a bunch of, uppity people move into an area that's traditionally not that way, and so they hire special duty police officers to work details in their area. You're now seeing major metropolitan cities no longer able to even accept that work because they're just too busy. And so these now have to go hire outside police presence.
Well, plus, a lot of these liberal cities are, quote-unquote, defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a twofold thing. If you defund the police, you have no funds to hire outside security.
Well, okay, and also along the lines of defund the police, think about this one, Danny. A few months ago when we talked during the depths of the pandemic, do you remember the numbers that said how many new gun owners we had in the U.S.? Like, people started buying guns in the spring. Do you remember how many new gun owners they said we had?
I remember talking about it, but I don't remember the number. I know it was very much increased.
And some people were like, some people said it might be 4 million new gun owners. It might be 5 million new gun owners. I've heard some people say it was 2 million, but let's say it's 4 million. Today, it's now 7 million. 7 million people in 2020 as of November 11th, Armistice Day.
Yeah.
Have bought or first-time gun owners in the United States. That's
astounding. Huge. That's huge.
That's huge. It's beyond huge, but you know what really scares me?
Danny, do you know how many dues-paying members there are of the NRA?
Probably, I would say something like 12 million.
No.
5 million.
No. I was going to say it's like 4 million, but it could be 5.
It was 4 million under Obama, and Obama, his rhetoric bumped it up to 5 last I checked.
Oh, okay.
We have 2 million more first-time gun owners in the United States than there are card-carrying members of the National Rifle Association. Just from
think about that.
This is a crazy year.
Do you know what I think about, though? I mean, of course, it's everyone's right, but what scares me more about that is, let's just say the last million or two that just went out and purchased guns or whatever, how many of them know gun fundamentals? That's what scares me.
But it doesn't matter, Danny.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The fact that they're actually concerned enough to go out and buy their first time firearm, they can learn fundamentals. Look, they're never going to be Jerry Mikulik, but the fact is, they are a firearm owner at this point. And
True.
once you become a firearm owner, you are no longer a member of the leftist I don't like firearms group.
True.
Well, no,
Very
you
true.
see, you see a lot of people who say, "I'm a liberal, but."
Look, I hunt with a group of guys that are lifelong Democrats, but they're pro firearms because they're hunters.
Okay, you know
Now-
what? I want to interject something here with you, Freeze. 'Cause you
Okay.
made a good point. Because my family were lifelong Democrats. Your family's lifelong Democrats. Everybody we knew were lifelong Democrats because we all live in the Midwest. Why is that changing?
Because the unions are goddamn communist, and they're going so far to the left, they're not really connecting with the American person who's the middle class laborer, so to speak.
You have nailed it right on the head. But I'm going to say it in a way so people can understand it.
Okay.
What has happened in 2020? This has been happening for a while. But what has happened in 2020 is it used to be that Republicans were the party of wealthy people and industrialists or people that large wealthy capitalists. Okay? And then the Democratic Party was the party of the working man, the middle class, and also people that maybe cared about, social welfare programs and the lower part of society.
Yeah.
You are seeing now the political parties in the country have changed completely. The new paradigm is the Democratic Party is now, it's a class system. It's not race, it's class. The Democratic Party now represents two groups of people that are dependent on government. They need government, they use government, they like government, either for money or for their religious well-being. Very wealthy coastal elites that use government and government connections to make money either domestically or on foreign markets, because the more power they have, the more connections they have, they're able to get contracts, are able to get set-asides, are able to get build relationships to make money, okay? Yeah. And then the other side of that also, still on the left, people that still either like government, need government, or use government are extremely, extremely poor people. People who literally need the government to just keep the lights on. That is now the left of the country. The right of the country, the Republicans, are now the working class and the middle class, and people who want to start businesses or want to take care of their kids or are invested in society. They're invested in their communities. They work 40 hours a week or 100 hours a week. They try to raise their children. They try to pay their taxes. They just want a chance to get ahead and be left alone and do things on their own as much as they can. And that's the change. So, like, for example, Freeze, when I was going out to the John 1911 range 2 weeks ago, I saw something that was kind of like, holy shit. But you know what? I shouldn't be surprised. The guys that the company that we hired to do the bulldozer work at the John 1911 range.
Okay.
I don't want to say their names.
No, but I know them well. I know the father and the son. They're good people. They're good people.
I don't even... They had in front of their home and their business, they had a Biden-Harris 2020 sign.
Really?
In their yard. Yes.
Well, that's kind of shocking to me, to be honest with you. But
but think about this. These guys, the man is in his 60s.
Yeah.
He's a working class guy. He he's ditch digger. I mean, he runs earth moving equipment. You know what I mean?
He runs big earth moving equipment,
D8s and stuff. But no, like they buy everything used. Like, these are not wealthy people. They're hardworking people. They take care of their families.
Yeah.
But they have been lifelong Democrats. And I saw that sign in his yard, And I couldn't help but wonder, he is probably not a communist.
No,
But
no, no.
he's been Democrat so long, he doesn't even really understand what's happening.
Well, the truth is, the county that the shooting range is on.
Be very careful. Yes, don't say
No,
it.
no, no. I'm not going to name the county, but the county that the shooting range is on traditionally is a Democrat-run county. And I know this because of people that I know that are in politics of that county, which are people that you know as well. Again, we won't name, but it is traditionally a Democrat-run county.
Well, but the thing is, But Ohio is that way. All these places were that way. Howard Betzenbaum was a longtime senator from Ohio, and he was a leftist. I mean, he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
He almost looked way left, but he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Democrats control the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's go. Let's talk about Pennsylvania and the election for Danny. So what's the problem? What's the fundamental problem long term with Pennsylvania having problems with their vote count? Outside of Donald Trump, what's the real problem there?
The allowing of the counting of ballots that came in after the election, which pushed Biden ahead.
But what does that mean for the country? What does that mean for Pennsylvania? What does that mean for Philadelphia over the next, say, 20, 40, or 100 years? What does that mean?
Well, it means that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia will always stay Democrat. And if you look at Pennsylvania, 4 counties out of every county in that state dictated who the majority of the votes went to. Now, my problem with Pennsylvania is and what it'll mean in the long term is they are not doing anything to close up these voter irregularities. In fact, I think that they are promoting it and enhancing it more.
So
that's the problem.
But what does that ultimately result in? You are getting to the answer, but I'm gonna give it in a way beyond 2020. And this is another argument that leads to political violence in the United States. And we've always heard this, and it's the following. You can vote your way into socialism, but you have to shoot your way out of it.
Correct.
Here's the problem. Look, if the country wants to vote for AOC, and if they want to do the Green New Deal, and they want to do whatever it is they want to do, and everybody votes, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. But in 4 years, we get to evaluate it, and we get to say, I think that bitch be crazy.
Actually, that's not true. It's every 2 years.
Okay, but my point is, it's always interesting. The problem with this has been going on. This isn't 2020. And everybody knows this, okay? Philadelphia, Cleveland, all of New Jersey, New York, Baltimore, Boston, I'm trying to think, Chicago. Oh, Chicago's notorious.
Chicago, St. Louis.
All these. I don't know. I mean, I don't know St. Louis, but it looks like it's going that way. But here's the thing. It's funny when the liberals get to the point that they're able to hold the offices that have control over the balloting and the vote counting, that suddenly it can never swing the other way. The mistakes are always to one side. The corrections are always to one side. The cheating is always to one side, and that results into a political problem that's going to result into major drama going forward. You could vote your way into this stuff. Philadelphia, basically what's happened in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania, and what's happened is, great, Pennsylvania is, I said this 4 years ago, I hate Pennsylvania politically, and this is why, and I never really went into why. You assholes have let this go on for so long Now you can't even vote your way out of this bullshit. You're so fucked in Pennsylvania. If you're listening to this right now and you're outside of Pittsburgh, you better think about living into Pennsylvania. May have to break up into 2 states because or there's going to have to you're going to have to clean up your state because you got major problems.
Look, I don't see Pennsylvania breaking up into 2 states, and I don't actually ever see them cleaning up their problem. But I'll tell you what I do see. Okay, so for the past 4 years, Black Lives Matter and Antifa had been rioting, looting, burning down
hold
towns.
on, wait, I got to stop you right there. That is a media narrative that is not true. Black Lives Matter started under Barack Obama.
I understand that.
And now I want to say this. I want to say this about Barack Obama. Again, this is where media narratives are not true. When Barack Obama ran for election in 2008, Barack Obama ran under this idea of peaceful, united, we're going to be a post-racial country, we're going to be all of this stuff, sweetness and light. And a lot of people voted for Barack Obama for that. Like, man, if I vote for Barack Obama, we won't be racist anymore. We can get the mojo off our back. Like, a lot of people legitimately did that. When Barack Obama ran for re-election in 2012, he ran on division, he ran on ridicule, and he ran on divisiveness. And the media doesn't ever talk about it. Remember people they claim their guns and their religion. Do you remember he talked about like Republicans are they want to run the car into the ditch? Barack Obama wasn't this super sweetness and light person. He
was a community organizer.
But his re-election campaign was pretty shitty.
But what I'm saying though is over the past 4 years with Donald Trump as president, Black Lives Matter and Antifa had been rioting, looting, burning down towns. Mind you, they're all liberal Democrat cities because there's not too many conservative Republican cities that got burned down. But my point is, Joe Biden wins this election. Camel Toe Harris becomes vice president.
Oh my God.
I went there. Yeah, I fucking did. Okay? So let me tell you something. Okay, it's always been a conservative taboo. If you're on the right, if you're a conservative, you're a Republican, it's like, oh my God, white supremacist. God forbid if anyone on the right takes it to the guns or loots or burns down a city or riots or assassinates anyone, we're the fucking evil Satan. But if Black Lives Matter and Antifa does it, it's okay. Well, I'm telling you, I'm going to say, if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris wins this election, I would not be surprised over the course of the next 4 years, the roles reverse. And all of a sudden you see conservatives rioting, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not Nostradamus here, but I'm just saying that it's going to be real hard for the right if they start taking to arms. But I see it happening. I really do.
Here's how I see it happening. Look, I'm going to step into another big drama. Like I already talked about Waco, talked about Ruby Ridge, and you're like, oh, fuck. Do you remember before when BLM wasn't BLM? Remember the Bureau of Land Management? Do you remember the guys who were the Bundys?
Oh, yeah, the Bundys. Yes,
right.
The Bundys, yes.
So, a bunch of people went out there to, I think it's Nevada maybe, and, there was a standoff between the federal government and the Bundys over grazing rights.
Yes.
And that was what it was, okay? Yeah. But then the Bundys screwed up.
Oh, they went to, was it Oregon?
They crossed state lines, they went to somebody else's state, and they occupied some Park Service cabin or something somewhere and tried to make some big political argument out of it. And it's like nobody likes an outsider coming into their town and fucking shit up. So now here is how I think we could be in real trouble. and this is a hypothetical, and this person exists hypothetically in my mind, but it touches on a couple things. You know how, like, supposedly Joe Biden got 100,000 votes all at once and not a single Trump vote in some of these places?
Which I think is mathematically impossible.
It is statistically so unlikely that it doesn't seem right. And I'm gonna play it out. I'm gonna give a real life example of that. Okay. So right now in Portland, I don't know Portland, right? Which city had the Chop Chaz zone in it, Freeze? Do you remember?
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, that was Seattle, Washington had the chopped zone.
Okay.
That was the summer of love, according to the mayor.
Yeah, summer of love. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. I don't know Seattle. We're going to assume it's Seattle.
The summer of love in hell, apparently.
Let me go ahead and get this out. This is going to touch on the $100,000 votes versus zero. It's going to touch on the rioting. It's going to touch on the political violence that I think could happen on the right. I don't know Seattle. I don't know its politics. I don't know its people. I don't know its culture. You know, I really don't know Seattle. I know as much as anybody who doesn't live in Seattle knows.
Home of Starbucks?
Okay, but hear me out here.
Okay.
There is no way in Seattle that this person is hypothetically exists in my mind, that there isn't some guy, and I'm going to make it a guy, in Seattle, in the city, and he's either around the riots or he's in the riots or the riot zones. And he's a property owner and he's a conservative. And he may not be a right-wing conservative, but he's definitely not a communist. So he says he's a Trump voter. Or he'll vote for Romney, he'll vote for McCain, whoever he votes for. This person is in Seattle. He's surrounded by all this nonsense. They're now going on 5 months. Okay, the police don't come to his 911 calls. His children can't go outside and play. His wife gets harassed by communists and all that. His property is damaged by all these looters and rioters. He is subjected to the whims of whatever the local government decides today is the policy to deal with either COVID or the riots or CHOP or working or wearing masks or whatever it is. He can't get away. He's in this every day. And now he's watching television, this guy, hypothetically. And he's now seeing that the media is telling the world that he's a fucking Nazi. Mm-hmm. Big tech is silencing his opinions. They're throttling his posts. If he documents anything that's going on, he gets his accounts deleted and banned. Now he's hearing rumors that Donald Trump, they stole the election from Donald Trump. Whether they did or they didn't, it doesn't matter. But he hears the rumors. What keeps that guy, the next time there's a bunch of craziness going outside of his house, one day just walking out his front door, and I'm going to put this in very oblique terms, he just decides, I've had it, it's time to plow the road. And when that happens, and it will, because if this person truly feels like everybody's against him, he doesn't have a voice, his side of the argument has been silenced, and he's been wronged, bad things can happen. And when it does, the media is going to take that, and you're going to have guys like Mitt Romney, and you're going to have guys like Lindsey Graham, and supposedly moderate Democrats like the guy from West Virginia, Manchin. They'll vote to curtail your gun rights or do whatever it is they're going to do. We're in for a ride.
Oh, we're definitely in for a ride. I have no doubt about that. However, I'm saying that if the right rises up and does the same, and look, I'm not saying they're going to do.
I don't think the right rises up. I don't think the right behaves like that. Maybe I'm being naive.
No. Look, hold on a second. Listen to me here. I'm not saying the right's going to rise up and duplicate Black Lives Matter / Antifa over the course of the last 4 years. But I don't think they need to. I think if the right rises up enough to say, look, they don't have to burn down Cincinnati, Ohio. They don't have to burn down Dayton, Ohio. They don't have to burn down, Houston, Texas, or Nashville, Tennessee. But what I'm saying is if the right rises up and says enough is enough, I think there's a difference between the right rising up and saying enough is enough opposed to the left rising up and burning down a liberal fucking city. Where when the left burns down a liberal city, the powers to be say, it's the summer of love, let it go. Well, all of a sudden, the right rises up and they're like, no, we don't like it. I think there's a difference, and I think there will be a change. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't think you're wrong at all. But how the right rises up is it'll be localized. It'll be a situation where there's either through policy or through planning of like some left-wing militia, there'll be some crazy nonsense going on in some neighborhood. Okay? And what'll happen is you'll have people in that neighborhood who are like, not today, Satan, and they're going to plow the road. Okay? And then when that happens, what's going to happen is, a lot of the country who believes that Donald Trump's presidency was stolen from him, they will cheer and they will be happy. And then what'll happen is you'll have an as yet unidentified Republican conservative politician. This person may not even be in politics, or this person could be someone already exists. Will come out and they will lead that movement. They will be the new Donald Trump. They will say, you have the right to plow the road in front of your house. You have the right to defend your family. You have the right to not walk over hypodermic needles in your own goddamn driveway. And you know what? Hold on, I want to hook this in. That you think that person doesn't exist. If you think that won't happen, then you have not paid attention to Joe Arpaio.
No,
you have not paid attention to Donald Trump.
And the thing is, I think that person does exist. I think that person has not actually come out publicly yet because I don't think it's the right time. Now, if Joe and Camel Toe win this election...
Where did you get Camel Toe?
I did, dude. It's just me being me, and it's Kamala Camel Toe.
Hold on. Full disclosure, because I know you. Are you day drinking right now?
No, I'm not day drinking right now. But here's the crazy thing.
I need to be.
I should be day drinking with this podcast. I really wish I was day drinking. But here's the thing. If you look at Kamala Harris's fake smile, and you look at Jack Nicholson's a Joker from the Batman series, they look the same. She's okay, whatever. Now I'm off that. But
Kamala Harris is an attractive woman.
No, she's not.
No.
She is not an attractive woman.
Stop.
No, she's not.
I'm not going to let my political biases influence.
It's not politically biased. She's just. No.
Look.
If you think Kamala Harris is ugly, but then you think Sarah Palin's hot, come on, dude. Come on.
We all have opinions.
First off, I've never said Sarah Palin was hot. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm saying publicly Kamala Harris is not an attractive woman. Her smile looks so fake, and she disgusts me when I see her picture.
Kamala Harris is a very attractive 50-year-old.
No, she's not. No,
You're looking at memes and still photographs taken out of context.
No, whatever. Whatever.
She's not good on her feet. She's not.
I don't give a shit if she's good on her back, dude. I don't find her attractive. I do not think Kamala Harris And I did say her actual name, Kamala Harris. I do not find her attractive.
Actually, I'm not certain on that. I believe, supposedly, I think if you call her Kamala Harris, it's racist. Apparently,
yeah. Well, you know what? Then let's just resort back to camel toe.
Hold on. Apparently, her name. If I could have this backwards, I could have it completely inverted. But apparently, her name is Kamala, not Kamala.
Well, yeah. Who the fuck really cares?
No, wait. I'm gonna throw you a bone to prove a point here. So it's Kamala Harris, not Kamala. Okay, and if you get it wrong, you're a racist. And this is an example of the media and everybody making shit up to play the gotcha game, just like the 1911 guys. And here's a perfect example of that. Here's a perfect goddamn example of that. Who was George Bush's vice president? Freeze. Anybody?
No. It was
day drinking.
No, not day drinking. I've got a bobblehead of him. The guy that shot his buddy in the face while he was.
Say his name.
Oh my God! What the fuck? Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't think of it. But I've got
his first name is Dick. What's his name?
Dick Cheney.
Freeze. I was waiting for Freeze to answer.
No, seriously. I've got a bobblehead of Dick Cheney on my bar.
Congratulations. Now I want to get this on the record. I want to get this on the record. First, I want Freeze to say it. Then I want Dana to say it. Freeze. Say the vice president, George Bush's vice president's name, first and last name. Say it.
Dick Cheney.
Danny, name George Bush's vice president. Say his name, first and last name.
Dick Cheney.
Okay. Now I have news for both of you. You are incorrect.
Oh, whatever. So what's his real pronunciation of his last name?
Hold on now. Wait.
Richard Cheney?
Listen.
Richard Cheney?
Dude, stop. Listen.
Okay.
Fucking listen.
Okay.
Okay, people play this pedantic bullshit, do the gotcha game, but then they don't want to put it on their own side. And this is an example of how you can win these bullshit fake-ass arguments. Dick Cheney's name is Dick Cheney. And here's the thing. Years ago, they asked him about that. They were like, is your name actually Cheney? You pronounce it Cheney? He goes, yes, but everybody calls it Cheney, and I work in national politics, and so I'm now Dick Cheney. But the pronunciation at home and the pronunciation in my family is Cheney. And here's the thing. Nobody went around whacking each other over the head anytime claiming that you were a fuckface because you didn't say his goddamn name right.
Okay, fine.
But this is an example. This kind of fucking bullshit is an example that will drive people insane.
You're right. Hey, Marky, I have a question for you. You think that Kamala Harris, I said it to be politically correct, you say that you feel she's a good-looking woman. Do you think she is on the level of the governor of South Dakota looks?
The governor of South Dakota is an attractive woman.
She's very attractive.
Well,
Freeze, you know who that is? No. Okay.
No, I don't, actually.
Her name is Kristi Noem. Noem? I don't even know how to say her name, so I guess I'm a sexist. Her name is Kristi Noem. She's the governor of South Dakota. And I have noticed the national public first got a view of her at the Republican National Convention because she got a spot and she talked. And people were like, oh, damn. And I guarantee you, and I'm going to circle back to this one, the person who hates Kristi Noem the most, in my opinion, is probably the governor,
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, because I am certain that Nikki Haley's like, you fucking bitch. This is my turn.
And you blonde to boot.
And Kristi Noem is a gun-toting, attractive governor of South Dakota. And, dude, we posted a picture of her, a picture with her earlier this year or last year, unknowingly realizing that she was going to become this big deal. Do you remember the photograph that we had of a guy wearing a full-length coyote
Yeah,
pelt.
dude. Yeah, dude. I know. I remember the coyote pelt jacket, which
That
was
Yes,
yeah.
because I know Freeze, and I know what Freeze will remember. I know how great it was. The girl, and look up that photograph. The girl standing. So the guy who was wearing the coyote pelt jacket was the governor of, I don't know, some other state. And
Yeah, it was some crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Kristi Noem was standing next to him in the photograph. This is the
Okay.
attractive governor from South Dakota, and she tweeted it out. And here's how not politically correct she is. She basically said, "This is awesome. We should have one of these. We should have these everywhere." I mean, she's basically like, "We did go out and shoot a bunch of coyotes and make a bunch of
Dude,
jackets because this is awesome."
look, how awesome is when you wear cowboy boots and a coyote skin jacket? That's amazing.
It is amazing. But my point is, that's an example of the yet unknown, say, Joe Arpaio. Like, okay, like I've criticized Sheriff Dick Jones from Butler County in Ohio on this podcast. I like
Because
Dick
of his
Jones.
cowboy hat.
His
Yeah,
cowboy
yeah,
hat.
look.
Let me finish. Let me get it out. He lives in fucking Ohio, and he does he comes out with this shit and talks about he talks about, I don't know, what was the last one, Danny? He did something, you sent it to me, talking about something with national politics or something, like come to Ohio.
Oh, I remember. I can't remember though. I remember sending it to you.
And it was this bullshit fucking position. It's like, what the fuck does the sheriff of Butler fucking County, Ohio, have to do with any of this? And what it actually has to do with is he's trying to become a national figure. He's trying to promote his brand. No different than Joe Arpaio in goddamn Arizona.
He's trying to be the Ohio version of Joe Arpaio. And that's fine.
Okay, but what's Joe Arpaio trying to do? Joe Arpaio is trying to run. I think Joe Arpaio ran for governor or senator. He's trying to become a national figure. My point is, your people on the right, and eventually one of them is going to put up their lightning rod, and something's going to happen, and they're going to get hit with the power, and they're going to carry the mantle for Donald Trump, and there will be the revenge of Donald Trump. As of this date, as of November 11th, 2020, it is my public position right now, even if Donald Trump is never reelected or doesn't win reelection to the White House, I believe Donald Trump will end up on Mount Rushmore. It may take 100 years. He will end up on Mount Rushmore. I guarantee you.
Is there enough room to add another face to Mount Rushmore?
Oh, God, there's enough room up there to add like 10 of them.
Did anybody happen to see? I know we're running long here, but did anyone happen to see
my
that?
My 1040 my previous meeting got pushed back. I got.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway,
let me know.
well,
So we just go
yeah.
as we can go.
Let me finish. Did anyone happen to see that 15 brand new Republican women were elected to the House?
Well, no, because the media doesn't want to report that at all. They hate that.
15.
They hate all these. They hate. I mean, hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If you don't, like they even supposedly during this election, they carved out a gender specific constituency, supposedly that was going to determine the course of the election. And it was, quote, suburban women. Like, suburban women are supposed to be, I guess, not going to vote for Donald Trump. But how did all these suburban Danny, of all these 15 women that became Republican Congress people, how many of them live in a big city, or how many of them live in the suburbs? I bet they all live in the suburbs.
Yeah. That's a good point. I'd like to look into that, but I believe I read 6 of them, maybe 6 or 7, defeated Democrat incumbents.
And here's what happens in this is what happens in communist politics. Okay, it's very interesting, and this goes back to Pittsburgh. This goes back to Philadelphia. You can vote your way in, but you got to shoot your way out. This is the fundamental weakness of communist and socialist people. Okay, they make a plan. They come up with an idea. When the plan doesn't work, they can't admit they made a mistake. They can't admit the plan doesn't work. they can't admit they need to do something else. They have to find a scapegoat. They have to blame somebody else and then come up with a new 5-year plan. And this is a perfect example. Right now in the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi has lost 5 or 6 seats of her majority to these purple states. And all of these people that lost seats, Democrats who are going to be out of Congress in January, have told everybody in there, they've told everybody on the Capitol Hill, the reason we lost is because of the Green New Deal and the riots and your crazy bullshit, and you cost
Defund
me
the police,
seat.
everything, right?
And you cost me my seat. And literally, they're saying this, but AOC is running around Congress and running around on news channels saying, "Oh, that's not true. That didn't happen." It's like, well, that's not true at all. It's like, well, the people that lost their seats are saying it, but it's interesting. The media will not put on a loser candidate on national television, a Democrat who lost a seat, and blame all this crap for their loss. But they'll put AOC on, and she'll be like, "The Green New Deal and progressivism is not the reason for these people losing their seats." It's the media. It's the media controlling the narrative. Even even within the Democratic Party, they're lying about some of their shit, which is always the danger with communists, because they can never. There's no accountability. You can vote your way in, but you got to shoot your way out.
Did you see where?
I do not like where
go
this
ahead.
is going.
Did you see where Trump might get his own TV station?
That's been in the works since 2016.
Dude, we've talked about that privately, and honestly, I think that would be so fucking amazing. It would be, yeah, dude.
Well, Donald Trump's plan when he didn't beat Hillary Clinton was they were going to start Trump TV. And so apparently those plans are now being revitalized, or they're being reactivated.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, whether it's been reactivated or not. But I would love. I mean, I'm 100% on board with that. I would love to see the Trump News Network or Trump TV or whatever the hell they decide to call it. Because the truth is, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't actually watched Fox News in well over a year. I hit video clips, of course, on the internet. Fox News is fucked. CNN, MSNBC. I mean, I really need Fox News from the 1990s back again, and I think Trump TV could do that. Or Trump News Network, or whatever they decide to call it.
Hold on. Here's my problem with Fox News during this cycle, and then we'll go ahead and we'll probably have to wrap this one up for too long. Like during a lot of this, what people I feel like I need, I can't speak for everybody, but what I need when I flip on the news is I want data. What's the count? What's going on with this? What's going on with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you flip on Fox News, and what you actually have is you'll have a TV show, and there'll be a host, and that host is getting paid big money because they're running commercials. Yeah. And then what they do is we're going to have a TV show, and we're going to have this person on this side who's going to make their argument, and then we're going to have this person on this side, and they're going to make their argument, and we're going to call it fair and balanced. Nothing will get settled. Nothing's really reported. Nothing's really challenged. And then everybody watches it, and then they all get paid, and none of us get to learn anything. And then, after we finish the 8 o'clock hour, let's go into the 9 o'clock hour. Well, I won't say 8 o'clock, because Tucker Carlson doesn't do that. But all the other shows, they do that bullshit. And most of Fox News programming is worthless anymore. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Before I forget, I read something extremely interesting. Joe Biden, for his COVID czar incoming, named a guy named Ezekiel Emanuel. Does that name ring a...
Yeah, Rahm's
Yes,
brother.
Rahm's
I
brother.
know
But
Ezekiel. And Ezekiel was part of Obamacare.
right,
Yeah.
and this is where it gets interesting. When he was part of the Obamacare, part of the big push, how you will never lose your doctor, keep what you got, premium go down, all the other stuff. Well, Ezekiel penned a letter to a magazine. I can't remember the magazine back then, saying anyone that is 75 or older is actually useless to society, and they shouldn't be given the prescriptions, the meds, and the health care of those that are more productive to the state.
Yeah, that was all the media harped on that when during the Obama administration.
So this
Death
guy,
panels.
yeah, this guy basically thinks that old people are useless. You don't need the medicine. You're not productive. You wore out your welcome. Who is he to say who can get medicines, live, die, whatever? What the fuck's the matter with
Well,
that
that's
guy?
called social.
Danny, that's called he's the czar of the death panel.
Okay, now we're gonna closing points here. Then we're gonna go into the police blotter because I think it's apropos.
But before we get into the police blotter, can I actually interject a gun thing?
Please do.
Okay, so I mean, can I start?
Please do.
Okay, so I've been working on the AR 47 or the AR 762 by 39 build for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got this thing pretty dialed in. It's a hell of a rifle. I've never pushed it out beyond 200 yards. I think I might have pushed it out to 300 yards. But it's a deer gun, so I'm really not interested in super long range. There's a lot of issues when you start shooting 7.62 by 39 millimeter through an AR platform. There's a lot of issues. There's
It's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's a goddamn dumpster fire. It is.
Mm-hmm.
But I did a lot of research on this before I started building this rifle. And I don't know, have I even really... I mean, I know I've done a couple videos of test firing, but have I ever done an actual review of this rifle on the website?
No. The reason is you've never actually, in my opinion, shaken the rifle down.
Well,
enough
I mean...
to call it reliable.
Okay, well...
Because I don't think it would. I think it's good for a deer gun, but I doubt it would hold up to any hard use at all.
Guy reached out to me. He's got an AR he built, and this thing jams like every 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. So, he's reaching out to me, and he's like, well, hey, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, well, I don't know because I don't know your gun, but I started, breaking it down, like, okay, so what kind of magazines are you using? Because honestly, with the 7.62 by 39 platform and AR, the magazines are huge. It's a big deal, And then, he told me the magazines, he was using 30 rounds. The brands were right, but I told him to cut down to 10-round magazines that, to help.
Go ahead. Let me go ahead and make this point that we're going to go ahead and toss this episode. So
Okay.
Freeze, look, these guys, they want to put together these guns, and they have this image of whatever this gun is supposed to be, or ammo, or stopping power, whatever their reason is for wanting to build one of these things is. And here's all I can think about. Is this guy's like, I'm going to buy all this shit. It's going to be like an AK, but it's going to be like an AR with the ergos, but I have the AK round and it's cheaper, but it'll be this and all these great reasons. And then right at the very end, he gets it all together. It doesn't run. He reaches out to someone that he perceives to be an expert. And basically that person says, to get it to run right, you're probably going to have to run 10-round magazines. And that's the moment where a lot of gun guys have to grow up and be like, oh, maybe the reason why this bullshit doesn't actually sell on the open market is because this isn't the right way to do stuff.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you want an AK, buy an AK.
Buy a goddamn AK.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay, so we're gonna have to toss this one out. So this is episode 192 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any stories, pictures, of links of anything we discussed, you can go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. I promise we'll have more frequent podcasts once we get through some of this political stuff and we know what the hell is going on. So remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you guys later.
Happy Veterans Day. Bye-bye.
Happy Veterans Day. See you later.